Alright. I'm here for a slightly different video. This meant to serve a similar role as the little, discussion things I was doing before where I was going over type by type. But this one is a little different because this is something about the potential of this kind of zone, right? So as you guys know, we're just getting ground zone in the form of Camerupt, which is huge. But here's where this is different. It was always a question if they were going to do rock zone, ice zone, or ground zone because we have weathers benefiting that kind of hail and sandstorm with additional passives such as invigorating hail, surging sand, and passives along those lines of where the weather doesn't initially buff the element, but the weather does. And a very similar, not similar, but an argument came out for grass of where similar lines, but except grass torrent was in the game. That was gonna happen. So the question here was, were they going to go out of their way to introduce a zone for something that actually gets covered, technically, through its own weather because of the passives put in place? Now that answer is obviously yes. Will these stack? Also yes. So ground zone here. I'm going to take the biggest fucking example we have right now, who I think is going to benefit the second highest. Technically third. Right? Because Giovanni's strong as fuck. Ground's strong as fuck. Cynthia's the only other one, honestly. So yeah, like, prime example here, like, Surging Sand 5. That is a zone's buff worth of damage from Sandstorm. So that's what that was meant to be. That was meant to be Sandstorm buffing by 50%. And obviously you get ground shift later, but that's fine. So with this in mind, right? Earthquake, 120 base power move would get ramming speed, another Surging Sand 3, the Surging Sand 5. So that's 30, 60, 110. Surging Sand 3 has the lucky skill for another 140. Then now we were to add ground zone. That's 190. So Earthquake is getting a 190% buff, almost X2 pretty much. Which is pretty sweet. This isn't super effective up. This isn't physical next. This is just base. But the issue is that you're going to have to use Excadrill and Camerupt with this. Camerupt can lower defense, which is actually very good because we have DC2 here, and if you were to Mega DC9, so guaranteed, but I personally wouldn't rely on that. So yeah, like, now, with Ground Zone, right, this opens up an option that I was thinking about all day today. You can technically Sync Nuke with Cynthia if you were to get Weathered Warrior 3. Because, as you guys know, Inertia and those kinds of abilities for the Sync become X2 or 100%. Debuffs are 120%, such as Devastation and anything along those lines. Those are 120. Regular are 100%. Or increases are 100. Debuffs are 120. So with Zone and Weathered Warrior, you can get 80% on the sync. Because she has no other sync multipliers in her grid. Nothing. So you can technically make her EX and Sync Nuke because you can get 4 Sync Tiles here for a base 292. So that's about where Strike EXs typically are. But you would have to, like, maximize this though, right? So just as an example, if we were to go with that, can we still get this? No, we cannot. We would have to go a little bit lower. Which I think is mostly fine. Mostly? If we were to drop those... Yeah, honestly, fuck Sands of Time. I don't think it's that useful. Yeah, so 267 I think is the most realistic one. 3 out of 5. 250. So 250 BP is higher than most tech EXs. Obviously before the EX. like for example here, Camerupt herself has 192 as well. You have 240 because megas are 192 for the most part. So 240, we can get that up to 260. So that's about what a Techie X would be before. So you can do decent numbers on your sync. It's not good, but it's not bad. Like, syncing is an option. If you EX'd her, this, I think, can be worth it. So, like, Ground Zone can change a lot of things. Like, for example, Groudon also gets Sun. I did not want to click that. 30% buff when in Sun. With a 260 AoE move with another 50% tap on top of that, so that's 80? No, I'm an idiot. 50, yeah, 80. Yeah, 80. But then you can give yourself super effective up. You can give yourself an additional 10% modifier. Now, here's the kicker with Groudon. You can get the X2 with a 300 base power. You get Solar Flare 5. Solar Flare 5, Ground Zone, and technically super effective up if you happen to get it, which you can prep with your TM. You can totally prep with your TM, and it's perfectly fine. You can get the 100% nuke off of Groudon with probably 350 if you were to really push for it. So Groudon can become strong as fuck with this. Like, he's already just like a little bit under Maxi because Maxi doesn't need Solar Flare, or it would be Shower Power in this instance. Like Kyogre doesn't need that. Kyogre has May to give extra rain. Although you would use May as the sync nuke, Kyogre would be nuke in certain circumstances. Groudon has the benefit of covering multiple types and another sync nuke with Ground Zone. He has the benefit of Zone and Sun versus where Kyogre can just get rain. So Groudon with this is probably going to overtake Kyogre as the better DPS of the two. Probably. I'm very much expecting it. Right, Giovanni? We all know what he can do with Steel Zone. It is ridiculous. This with Ground Zone now. 300 BP instead of 230. Just forget it. Like with this in Haymaker, you can sync nuke with him reliably. Because I know Haymaker is still strong with 300 BP, but the argument was the difference in power. This with double down 3 Haymaker, and super effective up if you were to keep it. Just you're fine. You are fine. Guaranteed crit as well. If you have the critical crit. That's such a weird thing to say. Anyway, like Ground Zone is like they jack up ground types but make them hard to get. So if you get them in the future, easy to access 50% modifier because she's Gen Pool. Now, granted, I don't think this will happen with Rocker Ice. I don't think this will be nearly as severe. I'll need to think more about that. Maybe make that its own video. But this is just going to be insane. This is going to be ridiculous. Right? So, hopefully you guys enjoy me rambling for like 10 minutes. Just literally puking my mind out, essentially. So, yeah. See you all in the next video.